Nobody saw it coming. That you know, that moment, the one that stops time? Where the arena goes so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat? Where 20,000 people collectively forget how to breathe? That moment happened. And it wasn't in the middle of a match. It wasn't during a contract signing. It wasn't at the end of a pay-per-view. It happened on a regular Monday night, the kind of night that's supposed to be predictable, the kind of night where stars walk to the ring, cut promos, and go home. But Cody Rhodes doesn't do predictable. And apparently, neither does Pat Mcafee. We need to talk about what happened. All of it. The build-up, the chaos, the fallout, and most importantly, the moment Cody Rhodes looked straight into that camera and said everything without saying a word. Welcome to Wrestling Impact. Buckle up. This one is personal. Let's set the scene first, because context is everything in professional wrestling. You cannot understand the magnitude of this moment without understanding who Cody Rhodes is right now. This is not the Cody Rhodes who left WWE years ago searching for something. This is not the man who built himself back up on the independent scene and in other promotions. This is the Cody Rhodes who came back to the most electrifying stage in sports entertainment and finished his story. This is the man who held the WWE Championship with the weight of his father's legacy riding on every single moment. This is the American Nightmare, a man who has climbed every mountain, bled for every fan, and refused to stop no matter how many times the world tried to knock him down. And that's exactly why what Pat Mcafee did hit so differently. Pat Mcafee is not a nobody. Let's be very clear about that. Pat Mcafee is electric. He is one of the most magnetic, unpredictable personalities in all of sports entertainment. He is a former NFL punter turned sports media personality turned WWE commentator turned active competitor, and every single time he steps into the spotlight, whether that's behind the desk or between the ropes, he commands the room. He's funny. He's loud. He's charismatic. He knows how to work a crowd. But beneath all that infectious enthusiasm, beneath all those chants and stadium-wide celebrations, there has always been something lurking. A competitive fire. A dangerous edge. A need to prove that he belongs not just on the periphery of greatness, but right in the middle of it. And that edge? That's what made Monday night so terrifying to watch. It started innocuously enough. Cody was in the ring. He was doing what he does, connecting with the audience, speaking from the heart, radiating that undeniable presence that makes you believe every single word coming out of his mouth. The crowd was with him. The crowd is always with him. And then Pat Mcafee's music hit, and the arena shifted. Not with dread, not yet, but with curiosity. Because Mcafee on his own is a spectacle, and a spectacle and Cody Rhodes in the same ring together? That's must-see television. Even before a single word is exchanged. Mcafee came down that ramp with that wide grin, that signature energy, pointing at the crowd and soaking it all in like he owned the building. And for a moment, it genuinely looked like this was going to be one of those electric, fun, back-and-forth verbal exchanges that wrestling does so well. You could feel the audience leaning in, ready to be entertained. Cody even gave Mcafee that look, the respectful nod of a man who recognizes a fellow performer, someone who has earned a certain level of mutual acknowledgement. That acknowledgement? Mcafee weaponized it. The moment Cody turned, and it was just a half turn, just a subtle shift in body language, the kind of micro-movement that only matters in hindsight, Mcafee attacked. Not verbally. Not with a cheap shot designed to embarrass. We are talking a full, committed, vicious ambush that sent the American Nightmare crashing to the canvas in a way that made the entire arena collectively gasp. The sound was immediate and gut-wrenching. 20,000 people going from laughter to horror in the span of a heartbeat. The commentary team went silent for a split second, that rare, precious second of dead air that only happens when something is so genuinely shocking that even the most prepared professionals don't have words ready. And then chaos. The ringside area erupted, officials scrambled, and Pat Mcafee stood over Cody Rhodes with an expression on his face that nobody had ever seen from him before. Not the wild grin. Not the theatrical showmanship. Something colder. Something calculated. Something that suggested this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment outburst. This was planned. This was intentional. This had been building inside Pat Mcafee for longer than any of us realized. The assault did not stop quickly. That's what made it a statement rather than just a brawl. Mcafee was methodical. He wasn't swinging wildly like a man who lost his temper. He was deliberate, targeting, measuring, making every single moment count like a man who had rehearsed this in his head 100 times. Ringside officials rushed in. Wrestlers from the back spilled out. And still, Mcafee made his point. By the time the dust settled, Cody Rhodes was left on the canvas, and Pat McAfee was walking up that ramp, not running, not retreating, walking, slowly, deliberately, with the posture of a man who had just done exactly what he set out to do. Now, here's where it gets deeply compelling. Cody Rhodes' reaction was not immediate, and that choice, whether by the man himself or by the storytelling at play, was absolutely the right one. Because when you are the American Nightmare, when you are the standard bearer of this entire industry, the world doesn't just want to see you angry. The world wants to see what you do with your anger, how you process it, how it transforms you. Backstage footage later in the evening showed Cody being attended to by medical personnel. He had that look, the 1,000-yard stare of a man whose mind is going 100 miles per hour while his body is being assessed by trainers. People around him were animated, talking fast, asking questions, and Cody just sat there for a moment, quiet, absorbing. You could see him cycling through it, the shock, the confusion, the slow realization that what just happened was not a mistake, not a miscommunication, not some accident born of crossed wires and misread signals. This was Pat McAfee making a choice. And choices have consequences. When Cody finally spoke, and this is the moment that fans have been breaking down frame by frame ever since he was measured, controlled. Which, if you know Cody Rhodes, is somehow more frightening than if he had screamed and thrown things. Because Cody Rhodes in a fury is powerful. But Cody Rhodes focused? Cody Rhodes with clarity of purpose and a specific target in his crosshairs? That is a different animal entirely. His words were simple. They always are when the emotion is real. He said something to the effect of Pat McAfee wanting his attention, and now he had it. And the way he delivered it, with that quiet steel in his voice, with those eyes that somehow carried both disbelief and absolute certainty at the same time, told you everything. This was not a promo. This was a declaration. This was the American Nightmare saying, "You pulled the thread, Pat. Now watch what unravels." The wrestling world exploded. Social media became a war zone of analysis and reactions. Fans who have followed Cody's entire career were dissecting every frame of footage. People who have watched Pat McAfee evolve from entertainer to legitimate in-ring threat were now reconsidering everything they thought they knew about him. Was this always part of his plan? Was there a specific moment that pushed him over the edge? Some slight, some perceived disrespect, some competitive jealousy that festered behind that enormous smile until it couldn't be contained anymore? The theories are everywhere. Some believe McAfee has always felt overshadowed by the performers he works alongside, that sitting ringside night after night watching others receive adulation he believes he deserves finally became too much. Some think there is a deeper, more personal motivation, something rooted in competitive ego that the cameras haven't fully captured yet. And some, the most intriguing theory of all, believe that Pat McAfee has been operating with a specific endgame in mind, and that Monday night was just the opening move. What we know for certain is this: the attack was real, the damage was real, and Cody Rhodes' response is going to be very, very real. Here's what makes this story so incredibly compelling from a pure wrestling perspective. Cody Rhodes thrives in adversity. If you go back through his career, the long, winding, beautifully complicated road that brought him to this point, you will find that every single time someone underestimated him, every single time someone tried to use him as a stepping stone or make a statement at his expense, Cody Rhodes did not crumble. He crystallized. He became sharper, more focused, more dangerous. Adversity for Cody Rhodes is not a setback. It is fuel. Pat McAfee just handed him a full tank. And this is where the dynamic gets truly fascinating, because this feud, if it evolves into one, is not just athlete versus athlete. It's persona versus persona. It's the earnest, hard-on-his-sleeve American hero against the bombastic, unpredictable wildcard who just burned the rulebook. It's legacy versus spectacle. It's a man who earned everything the hard way against a man who has the once-in-a-generation gift of making everything look effortless, and who may have just decided that effortless isn't enough anymore. The last time Pat McAfee got into a significant in-ring program, he showed the world that his physical abilities are legitimate. He is not a celebrity cameo. He is not a nostalgia act. He can go. And that makes him genuinely dangerous, not just as a character, but as an actual opponent. Cody Rhodes cannot afford to take Pat McAfee lightly, and frankly, based on everything we saw Monday night, it is very clear that he doesn't. The locker room is watching too. That's something that often gets lost in the immediate aftermath of moments like this, the internal ripple effect. When something happens that reshapes the landscape, everyone in that building recalibrates. Who do they side with? How does this affect alignments and dynamics that were already in motion? Wrestling is not just about the two people in the ring, it is an ecosystem, and right now, every single person in that ecosystem is figuring out where they stand. There's also the audience dimension. The fans. The people who show up week after week, who paint their faces and wear their merch and live and die with every match and every storyline. The reaction to this moment has been visceral and deeply personal for a lot of people. Cody Rhodes represents something real to his fan base, a belief that effort and heart and perseverance actually matter, that you can come back from anything, that the story isn't over until you say it's over. Seeing him attacked in such a calculated, cold-blooded way stirred something protective in that audience. Something fierce. If Pat Mcafee thought this would diminish Cody in the eyes of the people, he miscalculated badly. If anything, it poured gasoline on a fire that was already burning. Now the question is, what comes next? Because this is the part of wrestling storytelling that separates the great chapters from the merely good ones. The attack is the inciting incident. The reaction is the promise. But the follow-through, the way this story builds, the escalation, the confrontations yet to come, the moments that will define both men when the stakes are at their absolute highest, that's where legends are made. Cody Rhodes has made his position clear. He's coming. Not frantically, not recklessly, but with the measured, intentional energy of a man who has been here before. Who knows that the fire inside you burns longer and hotter when you channel it instead of just releasing it? Pat Mcafee wanted a reaction, and the reaction he is going to get is going to be something he feels for a very long time. And somewhere, in a locker room or a production meeting or a quiet moment before the next show, Pat Mcafee knows this. Because for all his bluster, for all his larger-than-life persona, Pat Mcafee is smart. He knew exactly who he was picking a fight with when he made that choice Monday night. Which means either he has a plan, a real one, something deeper and more elaborate than a single ambush, or he is about to find out exactly why Cody Rhodes is called the American Nightmare. Either way, we are watching. We are all watching. Because this is exactly the kind of storytelling that makes professional wrestling unlike anything else in the world. Two compelling figures, a collision that nobody fully predicted, a fire that's just getting started, and an audience that is absolutely hooked on every single moment. This is what Wrestling Impact is here for. To break it down, to feel it with you, to remind you that in this world, every attack has a consequence, every choice has a cost, and the best stories, the ones that grab you by the collar and refuse to let go, are just getting started. And if this video fired you up the way this whole situation has been firing us up, hit that like button and let us know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your predictions, your theories, your reactions. Are you Team Cody? Do you think Pat Mcafee might have a bigger play in mind? Tell us everything. And if you are not subscribed to Wrestling Impact yet, what are you waiting for? We are in the middle of one of the most electric periods in wrestling, and we are covering every single moment as it unfolds. Ring that notification bell so you never miss a thing. The American Nightmare is awake, and we will be right here to cover every chapter of what comes.